Hey, hi everyone, welcome to the series of full stack web-based application. So we are here to go and explore one of the technology or the stack called as main stack, right? So let's see what does it mean over here. So again, before going and diving into this particular one, this recording will be having complete insights. So we'll be getting every in and out of this particular technology. So whatever we are learning over here. So it does not mean we'll directly go and get started with the main stack over here. Rather, we will have some different perspectives covered in this recording. So as the name, it's the fundamentals of web technology. So what do I mean by different perspectives over here? So we will not only deal as a software developer perspective over here, we'll also think as a client perspective, we'll also think as a network engineering perspective, we'll also think as an operating system engineering perspective, we'll also think as a DevOps engineer, and we'll also think in multiple different perspectives as well. Okay, so what exactly or why do I as a software engineer should think in all this particular way? So as a software engineer, if we keep our insights in all in this particular perspective, then only we can be a successful software engineer. Okay, so then what are we waiting for? Let's go and understand the fundamentals of web technology so that we will understand each and every in and out of that particular technology. Okay, cool. So right now we are here to explore about main stack, right? So what is this main stack over here? So as the name MEAN stands for main stack over here. Now again, what does this mean over here? M here stands for the database. Okay, the database name called as MongoDB. Again, it's a NoSQL database. Okay, and on the top of that we do have E over here, where E stands for Express.js. Okay, so E stands for Express.js, and we do have A over here, so where A stands for Angular, and similarly we do have N over here, where N stands for Node.js accordingly. Okay, so this is the technology what we'll be going and exploring over here. Hey, hold on. So if this is a stack, we'll just go and directly get started with Mongo or Express or Angular or Node.js? No. On the top of this, we still know we need some building block, right? There is something called 3 basic building blocks, which is still required on the top of these 3 particular main stack over here. So what is the 3 building block we have over here, or what is the 3 pillars we have in order to go and understand the web technology? The 3 pillars, okay, here is nothing else than the very first one will be our HTML, and second one will be our CSS over here, and finally we have our JavaScript. Okay, JS stands for JavaScript. Now, okay, so we have something called these 3 as the pillars or the building blocks in order to understand any sort of web application. So is it only restricted to main stack? No, there are different types of stacks as well. Okay, so we can go with main stack. So as the name main over here stands for Mongo, Express, Angular or Node. We even have something called MERN as well. So what's MERN over here? So if you observe very clearly, in case of main and MERN, okay, the only difference over here will be our A is being replaced with R over here, right? A is being replaced with R over here. So what does this R stands for? This R over here will be React. This R over here will be React. Rather than going with Angular, we'll go with React over there. Similarly, we have Java full stack application. Okay, so let's say Java full stack application. So you can go with any one of these particular stacks, but still these 3 pillars are always essential. These 3 pillars are always essential. Okay, if it's the case, let's understand what exactly is HTML then. So if we just go with HTML, right? HTML here stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Okay, it will stand for Hypertext Markup Language. Again, no need to get bored over here because we are not going with any sort of technology. Right now we are understanding the complete part of a web application. Okay, so we're not going and getting started with HTML, neither CSS nor JS. Okay, but right now in this particular recording we'll be covering the entire things which will be dealing for our web application in a different perspectives here. So similarly we have CSS, where CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. Okay, so it will stand for Cascading Style Sheets here, and so on. We do have JS, it's nothing else than our JavaScript here. Okay, we do have JS, it's nothing else than JavaScript. Now, okay, so we got to know HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, CSS for Cascading Style Sheets, and JS for JavaScript. What is this? Here, HTML is mainly used in order to go and get some contents. Okay, if we go to any web application, we always get some contents over there, right? So let's go and see some applications. So for that, I can directly go to my Chrome over here, and let's say I will just open one of the thing over here. Okay, so let's have some site over here. So right now, if you can see, I'm in AWS site, right? So all the contents, okay, so if we see all these contents here, AWS free tier, and whatever heading we are seeing, whatever paragraph or anchor tag or button, all these things are possible with the help of our HTML tags only. All these things are possible with the help of our HTML tags. Okay, if that's how we get our HTML, then what is a CSS about? As the name, CSS is nothing else than to go and make that particular site prettier. In the sense, this background color, the font color, and the font type, the boldness, or whatever you want to go and change with respect to the style, it's all being handled by our CSS. Again, there are many more libraries and frameworks present on the top of CSS as well, such as Bootstrap, Tailwind UI, or Tailwind CSS, Material UI, and there are many more things. Okay, but still, in order to understand those things such as Bootstrap, Tailwind, or Material UI, we still need CSS as the basic block over there. Okay, so for the same reason, we do have CSS for styling perspective, HTML to get the contents, to get the raw contents on the screen, and CSS to make our application more prettier with the help of certain styles over there. And with the help of HTML and CSS, you can create a static application. So what do we mean by static? It won't be having any sort of dynamic actions. Okay, it won't think and respond accordingly. Now, if you want some intelligence, okay, not intelligence, but if you want some dynamic functionalities, in such cases, we can go and use our JavaScript. We can also call JavaScript as the brain of our application. Okay, we can also call it as a brain or heart of our application. Why? Because this is where we'll be having all the logical stuffs over here. With the help of all these three, we can build some dynamic web applications. Okay, with the help of these things, we can build some plain dynamic web applications. But now we are not only restricted to this thing, we have other stack in this particular recording called as main stack. And if you see this JavaScript over here, it's been common among all three stack technology, Express, Angular, and Node over here. These are all are present on the top of our plain JavaScript only. So we need to go and understand this thing, then only we can go and explore these things. Okay, that's pretty good. We got to know what stack we are covering here and what's the pillar of this particular applications over here and what are the different similar stacks we have in market as well. Okay, that's pretty good. Now let's go with some basic questions over here. So we know we are here for web development, right? So we are here for web development, correct? So what are the different things or what are the different teams will be involved in a web development? So very first thing, we'll be having a building team, right? Also called as a developers team. So very firstly, we'll be having a building, also called as a developers team over here. So this is a team what we'll be having where we as a developers will go and write certain code in order to build our application. Do you think in real time in any sort of industrial projects, is this the only team which will be taking care of entire web application? No, there are many other teams as well. Okay, this building or developers team are only restricted to go and write their code and get that particular functionality built. At the same time, they can even go and do some small amount of system testing as well. Okay, they can even do something called as system testing over here, or unit testing can be done over here. Okay, so once this is done, what is the next thing we have over here? So once the building is being done from the developers, the next phase will be our testing team. Okay, we do have our testing team over there. Now, what do these testers do over here? These people, okay, this team will just go and validate this application, whatever code they have built in rigorous way. They will just build a rigorous testing in different perspectives, and once they say that this particular code is okay, then only we'll move that particular code to the next level. Again, testing team can be categorized in two different ways. It can be either a manual testers, okay, it can be either a manual testers or it can be automated testers as well. Okay, so such as some Selenium or say other different types of tools they will be using in order to go and test the application. Okay, it can be either a manual testers or it can be our automated testers. Depending on the company, the project, it will just gonna vary over there. Okay, but anyways, these people will just go and cross check all the edge points and they'll be just cross checking at all the threshold values if our application is working fine or it's breaking at some point of time. Okay, in case if it breaks, if they have some loopholes over here, then they'll get back to the building or the developers team. So these people will again just go ahead and they'll work on that particular one and they'll fix the bugs over there. And again, they'll hand over their application or so-called project to the testing team. Once the testing team say, hey, this application is working as expected without any sort of errors or any sort of bugs over there, then the testing team will push that particular code to a next team called as, in a lame word, we can call it as a hosting team. But to be precise, what is this hosting team over here? It's all about our DevOps people will come into picture here. Okay, we'll get our DevOps team into picture here. So what these people will do, obviously the code or the application what we built here, it's not to be used by we guys, right? It's something what we want our clients to use over there, correct? So we want a particular code or application to be pushed somewhere so that the clients can go and use on their machine as well, correct? In such cases, DevOps come into picture where we'll make sure that particular code or application is being accessible on the client side machine as well. Okay, once hosting is been done, do we think we are done over here? So as a developer, we'll write a code, as a testers, they'll validate it, and as a hosting team, they'll just host a particular application. So if it's done, do we think are we done here? Obviously, no, we have one more phase as well. What's that phase? It's called as maintenance phase over here. We have one large phase called as maintenance team, or we can also call it a support team over here. So what these people will be doing, okay, what this maintenance or the support team will be doing over here? Obviously we built an application and we got it validated, and we also hosted that particular application. So now clients will be using the application, right? Clients will be using our application. So what if there are certain issues, or what if clients are not aware like how to use that particular application, or let's say if the client wants some enhancement in the next upcoming days which they did not thought as a functionality in that particular application, then the clients will gonna raise certain sort of Jira tickets, and then we need to work on them, right? So in such case, we do have a support team or the maintenance team. Based on some mutual agreement between the company and between that particular clients, we will be providing some maintenance, or we will be providing some support for those particular clients for certain amount of time. Okay, it can be either for a year, or it can be either for 2 years or 5 year or 10 year, based on the tenure and the agreement what has been done between the company and the project clients over there. Okay, so these all four are the main different teams who will be working in building any sort of web applications. It's not only for web applications, even your any sort of other standalone applications as well. Okay, even our standalone applications as well. Now, how do we guys go and integrate among or interact between all of these things? How can we go and interact, and how we can integrate our application between other different teams over here? In order to have this question, we have one approach called as SDLC in our software engineering. Okay, in the field of software engineering, we do have one approach called as SDLC over here, so that we can equally work between all these four teams in a proper way, or everything is being synced in a proper way. So what's that approach called as SDLC in our software engineering? So now what's this SDLC? SDLC is nothing else than software development. Okay, software development life cycle here. So the way how we have some life cycle, right? As a human beings, we have some life cycle. As a plants, they have some life cycle. As a animals, they have some life cycle, right? The span of their life is called as life cycle, correct? In a similar way, even our softwares have some life cycle over here. Again, do remember, it's not software life cycle, it's the software development life cycle over here. Okay, so SDLC stands for software development life cycle. Then what does this mean? So it simply means how exactly we want our phase to be carried between these four common teams over here. So how exactly we want to go and interact among these particular things over there. So for them, we have different types of approaches. So each and every approach has their unique pros and cons over here, but let's go and just list out those things over here. So we do have the very first and the oldest model called as waterfall model. Okay, going forward, we went with different sort of models again. So we do have other different types of models. So let's list all of them over here. Such as the next model will be agile model over here. Similarly, we do have few more models. Let's list them over here. And again, we do have spiral model. Okay, so this is one of the most important model in order to handle the cost effective wise as well. Okay, so we will be considering different perspectives in the spiral model. And similarly, we have iterative model. And we have incremental model, V-shaped model, and finally we do have also RAD model called as let's say RAD model, it's called as rapid development application model here. Okay, so rapid development, rapid application development. Okay, again, hey, we are here to go and explore about full stack web application. So what is this all about? Again, it's just some insight so that in case if we go with any sort of interview, these are some of the basic questions which will be triggering. Okay, so it's not only with respect to full stack applications. If we go with any sort of interview, these are some of the basic questions which will be rising over there. And I would personally suggest, so when we guys go with this particular series, I want everyone to go and understand each and every in and out of that particular technology. So I'll just go and discuss in the different perspectives in this recording over here, where we'll be covering, as I mentioned, operating system engineering perspective, network engineering perspective, as a software developer, as a client, as a manager, as a lead perspective, what exactly is happening in our application. So for the same reason, I'm just listing all of these things here. Again, we'll be going, as I mentioned, we'll be going from scratch. So we'll even mention what exactly are the editors, what are the different types of editors we can go and use. And there are many more different things, okay? It won't be boring over here. Obviously, it's one of the most important thing which many of the people will miss by paying some good amount of money as well. Okay, even though they pay some hell lot of money, but they still go and end up with this particular lacking of this particular knowledge. Okay, why? Because everyone directly go and get into either MERN or into HTML, CSS and JS, but they fail in understanding the full stack application fundamentals only. Okay, so as we go with any sort of technology, before we dive into the particular technology, as per our insights, it's always better to go a bit about that particular history, why this was raised and what was the disadvantage what we had and how exactly we overcame that. So in that way, we can even think in an innovative way and we can go and learn in a much better way as well, right? So if you can see how I segregated this thing. So firstly, what is the stack we are learning here? It's MERN stack. What is MERN stands for? These are the different technologies. Again, what are the technologies? No need to worry for time being. Okay, so no need to worry at all. As an overview, if you want to know, like this DB stands for database over here. This is where we'll be storing our data in a persistent way. And similarly, we have Express here, right? So this is for backend. Okay, this is mainly for backend in order to build the servers. And Angular, this is for front-end technology. So what do you mean by front-end? The things what you see on your web page, okay, is called as front-end. So if I go to any web page here, whatever I'm seeing here in the front-end side, this is called as a front-end technology. Okay, similarly, we have Node again. This is for the backend, which won't be visible, but this is again here to create our server. Okay, and in order to achieve this thing, we can't directly go and land here. Rather, we need to go and explore our pillars as well. That's nothing else than HTML, CSS, and JS. With HTML, we got to know in order to get some contents, okay, raw contents on the screen, we'll go with HTML. And for CSS, in case if you want to style that application, we'll go with CSS. And for JS, if you want to go and make that particular application quite dynamic, in such case, we can go and use JavaScript. In a similar way, what are the other stacks? Okay, so for that, we just went and covered. So the other stacks would be, apart from MERN, we can have MERN, we can have MERN as well, and followed by Java full stack as well over there. Okay, so even we have Python full stack as well nowadays. But yeah, most recommended or most used in the IT sectors, these are the top 3 trending one. Okay, on the top of that, we do have went with what is web development and what are the different teams we have, and we got to know how this team will gonna interact between each other with the help of an approach called as software development lifecycle. Okay, with the help of which we'll have some analysis. Okay, what is the software phase, where are we right now, and whether we are on time or whether we are lacking with something, or whether we are lagging in our building or application. So we'll get some analysis for that particular model. Again, it's recommended to go and explore each one of these models in your free time, but for time being, it's not required in this particular recording. Okay, so this is pretty good. We got some good insights right now. Now, what's the next thing we'll be covering here? So in a lame word, we always use a word called link, right? If you want to share something with any other person, we always say, hey, could you please share me that particular link, right? In general, this is not link. We should hereafter going forward, we should not use a keyword called as link. Rather, as a developers, as an IT person or as an IT resource, it's expected to call a word called as URL, right? We do also call it as URL. Now the question comes, what is this URL here? What is the full form of URL, right? URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. Okay, it stands for Uniform Resource Locator. So now, as the full form, what we see over here, it's called as Uniform Resource Locator. So link or URL is nothing else than if you want to go and find out something. So if you get a link or if you get a URL from some other person, what do? We'll just go and hit on that, right? We'll just tap on it so that we are expected to go and get some resource over there. Exactly the same thing. So in order to go and get some resource, we need to locate that particular resource in a uniform way. So we do have a URL. Okay, so we do have a URL. Now let's write some dummy URL. Let's say I will just go with my Instagram URL. Let's say https:// I will just say www. Okay, and let's say instagram.com over here, and I just say slash over here. So now what happened over here? So I just wrote my URL here, right? And if you can see, I just wrote some other things over here. Right now, guys, I'm using my VS Code editor. Again, what are the different editors? I'll talk about that. But for time being, I just wrote the URL here. But something got changed here, right? Did I write underscore here? It came automatically, correct? And the moment I hover on this thing, if you can see, it's saying follow link. It's asking me, you can click on this thing with the help of Control+click, right? Whereas for other text, whatever I wrote on the top, nothing is being populated with the Control+click, or nothing we have as an underline for them, right? Why do we have this thing? It's all because of the certain inbuilt functionalities what we have for our URL. Okay, what we have for our URL over here. So that's the beauty of our URL. So now let's see, I'll just go and hit on this particular one. So if you can see, the font color is also getting changed. You see, it's been turned into a blue or a purplish color kind of thing here. So from white, it's getting changed over here. So why? Because that's how our URL is being categorized. You see, I'm into my ID accordingly, right? So I just got my ID open accordingly. Okay, so it's pretty good. If you can see, this is not a dummy URL. The moment I click on this thing, we were able to go and navigate into our Insta account accordingly, right? Okay, this is pretty good. We got our ID. So now let's go and write some good URL, a dummy URL again, and we'll explore the different parts of that particular URL. Okay, we'll try to explore what are the different parts we have in that particular URL. Let's say https:// I will just go with some educational site. Let's say I want to go with some education site, education dot. I will just go with some site over here. Let's say I want to have a site with my name only. Let's say Rohan Academy. We don't have any such, but yeah, let's say Rohan Academy dot. Let's say it's education site, so I'll just go with edu, and I will just say this is for full stack. Okay, we have full stack courses over here. So this is again a dummy URL, but if you can see, I got some good URL structure as well, right? So we got all this particular thing. Let's see if we can get anything. I'll just go and hit on this particular one, and again we got underline, and the font color is also getting changed accordingly. If I go and click on this thing, obviously we don't have any URL here. Okay, we don't have any URL over here. Okay, that's pretty good. We don't have any URL because we don't have anything hosted for this particular URL. But let's understand this URL, and we'll go and categorize the different parts in this particular URL here. So what are some of the parts we have over here? Very firstly, if we can see, we have something called HTTPS here, right? Okay, what's this HTTPS? We'll see. And going forward, we have something called education. So let's say we do have education, and going forward, we do have, let's do one thing. Yeah, before education, I'll just go with this academy. So I'll just say Rohan Academy over here, and we have education, and followed by we do have .edu, correct? And finally, we have full stack over here. So these are some of the things what we have in that particular URL, right? So I'm just categorizing my URL in different parts over here, and we got these many different types of things here. Okay, so we got these many things. So now let's understand what are these parts over here. Okay, now let's understand what are these parts over here. So firstly, we have HTTPS, right? So firstly, we have HTTPS over here. So what's this HTTPS? We know HTTPS stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure, but again, in a lame word, this HTTPS in the URL is nothing else than protocol here. Okay, it's nothing else than the protocol. Now the question comes, hey, what is this protocol over here? Right, we'll understand. But yeah, for time being, let's go and write it for other parts of URL, and we'll go in depth for each and every part here. The very first one will be the protocol. Secondly, we have Rohan Academy. So what's this Rohan Academy? It's nothing else than the server or the domain name here. Okay, we can call it as a server or the domain name here. This is our server or domain name, and we do have education over here. So what's education? So education here is nothing else than a subdomain, okay, or the sub part of that particular main domain. This is a subdomain name, and we do have .edu here. What's this edu stands for? This is for education, but again, it's a part called as TLD here. What's meant by TLD? It's nothing else than top level domain. Okay, let's say it is top level domain. And finally, we have full stack over here. This is nothing else in the path, okay, or the location. You can just say it as a path or the location where we are in that particular page right now. Okay, so this URL was able to categorize in this particular way. That's pretty good. Now, let's understand one by one in depth over here. The very first one, we do have a protocol here, right? The very first one, we do have it as a protocol. So what's meant by protocol? In a lame English word, what's meant by protocol? Protocol is nothing else than set of rules or instructions, right? So same thing over here, it's nothing else than a set of rules or instructions. Okay, what's meant by the protocol? It's nothing else than set of rules or the instructions. Let's say if we're going to a school, we do have certain protocols over there, right? We do have certain rules in our school as well. We need to be there by on time. We need to reach school sharp by 9 o'clock in the morning. We need to have our shoes weighed. We need to wear our ID cards. We need to wear our tie, right? We need to wear our uniform. We need to carry our bags. All these things are some of the mandatory things. These are some of the important instructions as per the school guidelines, right? We need to follow them in order to attend our schools, right? In a similar way, in our web applications also, we do have certain protocols here. Now again, people might think, hey, why do we need to go and explore all of these things? Hold on, why do we need to explore these things? Why? Because we are here to learn full stack application, right? To be precise, web full stack application. So where are we hosting our application? It on the website only, right? So obviously we'll get our URL. So in such case, if we know our URL structure, it will be quite easy to understand as well, right? Again, we don't need to go and deal with all of these things, but if you know this thing, it will be really good as well. Okay, so that you'll get some more confidence as well. Okay, so that's the reason I'm covering all the funda of our web application in this particular recording. Okay, we got to know protocol is nothing else than set of rules or the instructions here. Okay, that's pretty good. We got to know the definition of the protocol. Can we have some examples? Yes. The first one what we wrote here was HTTPS, but we do have one for HTTP as well. We do have one for HTTPS as well, and we do have many other different types of protocol. Let's say we can go and have TCP and UDP. Okay, so let's say again, these all are with respect to network perspective. As a computer engineering network perspective or as a network engineering perspective, we'll be thinking this thing. Okay, we do have UDP and we do have SMTP. Okay, we do have FTP, file transfer protocol, and let's go with IP and other things. We'll just keep it for blank. Okay, these are some of the main basic things you guys should be knowing. Okay, so what's meant by HTTP? HTTP stands for, again, all of these things are nothing else than the protocol only. Okay, what's meant by HTTP? HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Okay, similarly, we have one more thing called as HTTPS, right? So what's the difference here? Obviously, we're adding one yes over here. So what's the difference? So that's yes is nothing else than secure here. So you just need to say Hypertext Transfer Protocol, but this time it's been secured here. So what's been secured and how exactly we can secure, we'll learn in some time. Okay, but one thing, yeah, yes stands for secure here. In a similar way, we have something called TCP as well. What's meant by TCP? TCP stands for Transmission Control Protocol. Okay, it stands for Transmission Control Protocol over here. In a similar way, we have UDP, where UDP stands for User Datagram Protocol. Okay, it stands for User Datagram Protocol. Similarly, we have SMTP, where SMTP stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. Okay, and we do have FTP as well. So what does FTP stands for? FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol. It stands for File Transfer Protocol. And lastly, we do have IP here. So where IP stands for Internet Protocol. Where IP stands for Internet Protocol over here. Okay, so we got to know what's meant by protocol, and we also got some list of different protocols with their full form as well, right? So let's go and understand in a basic overview as something, what is this HTTP, what is this HTTP, or what is FTP, what is IP, and all these things in a top overview, and we'll just go ahead accordingly. In a top overview, so where do we use this HTTP and HTTPS? So if you can see, it's being used in our URL only, right? So it's been used in our URL, and we do need to know more about URL. Why? Because we are here to learn about a full stack web-based application only. So for time being, let's not go to HTTP and HTTPS. We'll go much deeper into these two particular things here. Okay, that's pretty good. Then next thing we have TCP. What's meant by TCP? TCP stands for Transmission Control Protocol, right? So it's mean like we'll be having some handshake signals followed over here, and we'll be having a connection done between the sender and the receiver, which will be persistent for a certain amount of time over there. Whereas UDP, if you can see, it will be not a persistent connection. We'll be having a connection between again a server and a receiver, but it won't be persistent over there. Okay, so again, you can go and learn much more deeper. So it all is with respect to your network engineering perspective. Okay, so that's something about your TCP and UDP protocol over there. We'll be having some handshake signals followed over here in TCP. There won't be any sort of handshake signals followed in UDP. TCP protocol will be much more secure and fast when compared to UDP protocol. Okay, we'll be having more input output request in UDP, but less input output request in TCP. Again, what are these things? No need to worry. These all things will be covered in network engineering perspective. But both are used in order to transfer a protocol, in order to transfer certain packets or data or chunk of data through any sort of sender and receiver over there. Okay, nextly we have something called SMTP. So what's meant by SMTP? As the name, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. So if you want to transfer a mail or if you want to send a mail, what we'll do, firstly we'll go and draft an email, right? We'll write some email and then we'll hit on send option over there. But if you remember, when you are sending an email, if you are forgetting the subject of that email, you will get a pop-up, right? Indicating, hey boss, you are missing a subject. So are you willing to send this particular email without a subject, or you want to add that particular one, right? So how is that possible? These all are some of the instructions what we are encoding or what we are implementing in that particular mail transfer. So it's all a part of our rule only. So it's because of that only we're getting that pop-up. Similarly, if you have some subject also, and if you have the template as well, but if you forget to write the sender or the receiver address only, then the email won't go, right? It won't go at all. You can't send that email only. Why? Because you don't have the receiver address only, right? Receiver email ID only. So you will get a pop-up window stating please add the recipient address accordingly. Correct? How is it possible? It's all the rules. It's all something called set of certain instructions which we are inducing into that particular application. It's possible with the help of SMTP. Similarly, we have something called FTP. As the name FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol. So if you want to transfer a file from one machine to another machine, it can be via wired machine, it can be via wired connection or a wireless connection. We do have certain protocols over there, right? We do need to go and follow certain instructions for that as well. So for the same reason, let's say if I want to transfer a file, okay, and the file name is called as one underscore funda underscore of web underscore tech dot text only. And if I want to go and keep it on the same file, okay, let's see. I'll just do right now. I'll just say right click, rename. I will just copy the same. And what I will do, I just click on new again here. And if I just paste the same thing, okay, and if I paste the same thing with .txt. So what's happening? You can see I'm getting an error message. Hey, this file name already exists in this location. Please choose a different name, right? How is that? It's because certain rules what we are inducing in that particular application for file transfer as well. Okay, so these are all because of a file transfer protocol. Similarly, we have something called IP. Let's go with one real-time example for IP as well. So IP stands for Internet Protocol. So now what's this Internet Protocol? Correct? And to be precise, people would have learned in your colleges, we have something called IPv4 and we do have IPv6. What's the difference between IPv4 and IPv6? So it's nothing else than the version, right? IP here, V stands for version with the 4 and 6 over here. And the address and other stuff is being quite minimalistic in V6 when compared to V4 over there. Again, there are many more things, but yeah, let's not cover in this recording because we are not here to cover about network perspective, but just to get some insight about network perspective. Okay, now let's understand Internet Protocol with a better example. Let's say right now I have been seated in my office location. Okay, right now I have been seated in my office location and I want to control my AC, which is being installed in my home. Okay, so let's say in my home there is nobody at this particular point of time, and right now I am in my office location and I will be leaving my office in next 15-20 minutes and I'll be reaching my home in another 1 hour. Okay, I'll be reaching my home in another 1 hour. So now before I go to my home, okay, before I go and visit to my home, I want my AC to be turned on. So right now I'm seated in my office location and there is nobody at my home and it needs somewhere around 30 to 40 minutes for me to travel from my office to home. And how can I operate that particular AC, right? How can we operate? I can still operate that particular AC with the help of Internet Protocol only. So what's meant by that? We will induce certain intelligence to our smart AC as well. Okay, why did I use a keyword called smart AC? So that AC has some smart functionalities. Okay, even though if that particular AC is being installed in my home and even though I'm not physically present at that particular location, I can still operate that particular smart AC at my fingertips only. How can I operate at my fingertips? Let's say that particular application is being installed in my iOS mobile and then I can just go and configure accordingly. I can just say, hey, turn on the AC. So the moment I reach my home, I'll be having some room temperature maintained in my home, right? So that's how it's achievable, correct? So it's achievable with the help of Internet Protocol. Okay, it's achievable with the help of Internet Protocol by inducing some intelligence to our AC. So the reason we call AC as smart AC. Now, so how will my mobile or how will my iOS device understand that I am connecting to that particular AC only? I am connecting to my home AC only. Why can't I go and connect to my neighbor's AC? Why can't I go and connect to my office AC only? How is that making a connection to that particular AC which has been installed in my home only? Correct? How is it connecting? It's connecting with the help of this IP address only. So any device which has been connected to the internet, they'll always have their own IP address. Even your systems or your laptops or your mobiles or any sort of smart application, be it your smart TV, be it your smart fan, smart watches, smart shoe or whatever which has been having a keyword called smart, it always has some intelligence and that intelligence is being connected to internet. The moment it's been connected to internet, we will get an IP address for those particular device as well. The way how we have a Aadhaar unique number for each and every user in India, right? The way how we have a UAN number, a unique identity for each and every person in United States of America. In a similar way, if you want to go and have any device connected to the internet, we always get that particular device with a unique address called as IP address. So with this address only, I can make sure my iOS device at my fingertips is operating to my home AC only, not to someone else's home AC. So it's possible with the help of IP. Why? Because the smart AC what I have, it's been connected to internet. So that AC will gonna have a IP address. Similarly, the iOS device what I am using at my fingertips, it's been connected to internet. It will have its own IP address and it will go and make a request for that particular IP address only, and it will get a successful connection. So we do use our IP address, right? So that's how the things work. It's not only about our AC, it can be anything else as well. Okay, yeah, pretty good. So now we got to know all of these things, correct? We are left with HTTP and HTTPS now. Okay, we'll go in depth. Why? Because we are here to explore about full stack web-based application only. Okay, pretty good. So now the first thing we have HTTP and second thing we have HTTPS. Okay, one difference was secure over here. So now the question comes, what has been secured over here? So what's been secured here? Both of these things are used in order to go and call our web applications. Okay, if you want to go any call in your web applications, if you want to go and send any name over there, we always go and get that particular name connected to let's say if I go to my Google and if I want to enter my name only. Okay, so I'll just go to my Google and I will just start writing my name here. So let's say I'll go to new tab and I'll start writing my name here. See, I'm writing my name, and if I just hit on enter, you can see I got this particular request, right? And if you can see, there is a URL being generated. Correct. Okay, we got a URL. How is this URL working over here? So it's all because of this protocol. Now there is something called secure here. What's been secure? Let's say I'm logging into my account. Okay, let's say I'm logging into my Instagram account only. So while logging in, I will send a user ID and followed by the password as well, right? Username followed by the password. Now, when I'm sending this particular network, okay, let's say I want to send this particular data. So what is the data I want to send right now? I want to send my username and password here. So let's say client, I'm in the web page. So client is nothing but the web page here, okay, or the screen. So in this particular web page, I am logging into my Insta ID. Okay, I'm logging into my Insta account. I am logging into my Insta account. Let's say log into Insta account. So this request will go to Insta server. Okay, Instagram server only. Okay, so now if you want to send the request to Instagram server, you need to pass certain credentials, right? So what is the credentials I'll be passing? I will pass the username. Let's say username stands for uname here for simplicity perspective. And I want to send one more thing called as and user password. Okay, I'll just say PWD. Now, okay, I'm sending this thing. So where I'm sending in the URL only, I'm sending username and password. So this is being sent and in the network, okay, I mean, this has been sent to the internet through, in the internet through the network only for this particular server. Now, this username and password can be easily decoded, right? It can be easily decrypted. So the one who is sitting in the network, okay, let's say there might be some third-party applications or there might be some hackers who are watching the communications between the client and the servers over there. They can easily get this particular credentials, right? They can easily get this particular credentials and they can hack our application. So let's say I'm logging into SBI account only. And from that particular client in this particular web page, I'm passing my SBI credentials to SBI server only. In such case, if there is a third-party application which is monitoring my input-output request for the server, he can easily get our credentials, right? So he can go and hack our applications. He can misuse our applications as well, correct? Then, so for the same reason, in order to avoid this thing, we landed up with one more protocol called as HTTPS over there. Okay, so in this particular way, now the data what's been transferred in the network will be secured over here, so that none of the third-party applications or none of the third-party persons in the network can easily see our password over there. In order to overcome this thing, we have something called HTTPS over there, with the help of which they can't go and decrypt our password right now. They can't see our password over there. Okay, so that's the reason why we have HTTPS over here. Again, so does it mean like we are no longer using HTTP? 90% yes, we are no longer using HTTP. But what's the remaining 10%? Let's say if we have an application which does not need any sort of credentials, such as educational site, which is totally free of cost for NGO. In such applications, obviously we don't need to secure anything, right? So we can keep it more public only. But let's say if you're using some SPI credentials or if you're making some banking transactions, in such case, yes, we do need something called secure over there. So over there, we'll be using HTTPS. Okay, this is pretty good. We got to know why we're using HTTPS. But now the question comes, how are we securing this thing, right? How are we securing this thing? In order to make our application secure, we do have a certification called as SSL certification here. Okay, we do have a certification called as SSL certification. So what's meant by SSL certification here? It's called as Secure Socket Layer Certification. Okay, it's called a Secure Socket Layer Certification. Okay, so let's see. Let's get some idea about this SSL certification as well. Is it free of cost, or how exactly we can see whether our application is being secured or not? Let's understand each one of these particular points here. Okay, so for that I will just go to my browser again. Okay, so if I just go ahead to any another site. Okay, so if you remember, this was a dummy URL what we guys wrote over here, right? So this was one of the dummy URL what we wrote over here. Okay, so let's come back to the Amazon site only. So if you can see right now I'm in the Amazon site, right? And if you can see in the URL, it's saying HTTPS over here. What does this S stand for? S simply stands for secure. But how will I get some more information whether this application is being secured or not? So for that, before your URL, you can see there is a lock-like symbol over here, right? When I hover on this thing, we are getting view site information. So I can just go and click on this particular one. Let's go and click on this thing. And if you can see, the Amazon.in server connection has been secured, cookie and site data, we can get site settings as well. Let's see, it's saying, okay, connection is being secured. Let's go and hit on the drop down. So now if you can see, the connection is being secure here. Your information such as your passwords or your credit card numbers is private when it is being sent to this particular site. So now the site is saying, hey, it's our responsibility. So if you are sending any sort of credentials such as your password, credit card number, debit card number, contact number, whatsoever, it's been much more secured on our side only here. Again, if you can see the certificate is valid, so let's go and click on this thing. You will be able to see the certificate details. See, the common name for this certificate is issued to, it's been issued to Amazon.com, Amazon.in over here, and you can see by whom it was issued. It was issued by some third-party media over here, DigiSearch Global Media, and you can see it also has some validity period. Okay, you need to go and get your renewal done for this one as well. So what is the validity period? It's been issued on Saturday, February 8, 2025 at so and so time, and it will gonna expire on this particular date. So they need to go and renewal before it get expired over there, right? What happens if it get expired? Then obviously the sensitive information, our credentials such as password, credit card information will be easily decoded with any other person as well. Okay, you can get some insights about certificate as well. You can go in detail section to know much more about that particular certification as well. Okay, so that's how we can go and get to know if that particular application has been secured or not. It's all possible with the help of secure certification only. Okay, so it's all possible with the help of secure socket layer certification only. So yes, so in this way we got to know different insights of protocol with the examples as well. So now what is the next thing we are having here? It's about our server or the domain name, right? So now let's go with the second part here. The second part will be our so-called server name, right? So it's nothing else than server. So let's say server or the domain name. So what's meant by server or the domain name? So whenever I send a request, okay, whenever I send a request to Instagram page, I got loaded with Instagram only, right? So when I just search in my search window over here, the moment I just say Instagram, you can see I got my Instagram account only, not any other account here, right? I just got my Instagram account only, not any other account over here. Why? Because I just clicked on Insta only over there, right? So it's been recognizing, okay, the moment to click on Instagram, I am able to get Instagram because that's the server name. The moment to click on Amazon, I am getting Amazon only because that's the server name. The moment to click on AWS, I am getting AWS only because that's the server name. The moment to search on this thing, we are getting Google window. Why? Because you're searching in Google window only. Okay, so that's how our domain is able to identify. Now, what's meant by domain? That's nothing else than the server or the domain name here, right? So what's that? It's going and identifying for that particular domain only. So let's say if I search with Infosys, I'll get Infosys information. If I go and search Oracle, I'll get Oracle information. If I go and search Accenture, I'll get Accenture information, correct? It's all about that particular server. So one thing is very clear, servers are always a unique identifier. Okay, server or the domain is nothing else than the unique identifier. We mainly use it for unique identification purpose. Correct? We mainly use it for unique identification purpose. So let's say some examples. You can go with same thing. Infosys, Google, Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, any other company, Oracle, so whatsoever. All these things are unique identification, right? We know there are no two companies with the same name called Google. Am I right? Obviously, there are no two companies with the same company name called as Infosys. There are no two company name with the same company name called as Oracle. Correct? Why? Because these all are unique identification. Correct? So that's all about our server or domain name. So with the help of server, we can even easily go and get access for that particular server. Okay, that was about our server name. We got to know server name. Nextly, we have something called education here, right? Which has been prefixed to the server name. So what's this education over here? The education here is a subdomain name. Correct? It's a subdomain name. So let's understand what's meant by subdomain then. So let's understand what's meant by subdomain then. So let's go with subdomain name here. So what's meant by subdomain? It's nothing as the part. We can see subdomain. It's a part within that particular main domain only. One better example. Let's go to Google server only. Okay. Do you think Google is a small company? Obviously no. Google is handling hell lot of things, right? Google has something called Gmeet, right? So it's something about Google Meet. You can go and have some video conferencing done over there. Google has its own maps, G Maps, right? Google Maps, with the help of which you can get some information all with respect to maps over there, directions over there. Similarly, Google has some drives, right? Google Drive, with the help of which you can just go and store certain data. Similarly, Google has its own Google Files. Google has its Google Mail ID, correct? Gmail. So there are many more things. In such case, we can separate or we can just go and segregate our servers accordingly based on that particular implementation. So what do we mean by servers can, Google can have its own subdomain. Let's say Google can have one separate domain for Google Meet, where this server is responsible only for the meeting request. Okay, similarly, Google can have one server specifically for maps, where this server is only related to the direction perspective. Similarly, Google can have its one server specifically for Drive, where we can store all the Drive related information. Similarly, Google can have one information for Gmail as well, where it will have all the email informations. Similarly, Google can have its one site or one server specifically for Google Photos, which will only deal with Google Photos. This Google Photos will never gonna deal with Google Maps, right? Or this Google Photos will never gonna deal with Google Meet. In the same way, each and every server can have its own specific task over here. Similarly, Google has its Google Files. There are many more things, right? Google has its Google Files as well. Google has its Google Chrome. That's nothing else than SEO, search engine operations. Google has its Google Calendar, Google Pay. Correct. You can go and list many more things, right? Google Pay for transactioning the money as well. So there are many different types of things. So we can just go and categorize them in the subdomain accordingly. Okay, it's not only for Google. We can go with any other applications. We have those things as well. Okay, we do have those things as well. Now, in the URL, we got to know the subdomain is written first followed by the main domain. Okay, why is it so? So why did we write the subdomain first and then the main domain? That's the structure what we follow in a global perspective. Again, it's not mandatory, but if we go to any web applications, we can see them. So right now I'm in the Amazon, right? So the way how we have Google, right? In a similar way, you can take an example of Amazon as well. Okay, so if you know, Amazon has many different services again. The very first service Amazon can be used for shopping, right? So let's say Amazon shopping. Okay, I just go with Amazon shopping here. And what's the next one? We use Amazon for services as well, right? AWS, Amazon Web Services, correct? So we have our services as well over here. So now if you can see, the moment I search Amazon, I'm getting into the cart application where we can just go and place some orders over here. This is where we'll go and purchase certain products, right? With respect to Amazon shopping application. The moment I search AWS, you can see we are within our Amazon Web Service where we can go and get some different services from our Amazon. So now if you can observe the URL here, we have HTTPS indicating it's been secured, and we have www here, right? What's made this www here? It stands for World Wide Web. This is a common website across the world. Okay, so we have it as www, World Wide Web. Same thing over here. If I click on this thing, see, it's again stating HTTPS, it's been secured. To cross check, you can go and click on this link over here, lock over here. You can click on connection is secure, and you can see they're still saying same thing, it's been secured. And if you click on certificate, you will gonna get the certification details, including when it was issued and what is the expiry date and from whom it's been issued and for what organization. See, it's been issued to awsamazon.com. And now if you can see, we wrote the subdomain name followed by the main domain. AWS is a subdomain, right? It's a part of Amazon. So we wrote AWS first, and then we're writing the main domain called Amazon here. Not only here, if you go with the site as well. So if you can see, we're writing the subdomain AWS first, and then the main domain called as Amazon. Same thing over here. In the URL, what we wrote, I wrote the main domain, Rohan Academy over here. See, it's the main domain. Before that, we are writing the subdomain. That's nothing else than education over here, right? So that's how we can just go and get for Amazon as well. It's not only for Amazon, you can go with Google as well. Okay, let's say we want to go with the very first application only, Gmeet, right? So if I just go to my browser, and if you can see, I got Gmeet here. Again, this connection has been secured, so we can see connection is secured. You can just go and see it's been secured. If you click on certification, you'll get to know it's been issued to google.com. It's been issued by this particular provider, and this is the validity what we have here. Okay, that's pretty good. And if you can see the URL, okay, it's HTTPS, and we have the main domain name called as Google. But before that, we can see we have a Google Meet, right? This is a subdomain over here. So that's how we are having our URL structure. Okay, the same thing what we are following over here as well. Okay, so that's how we can understand certain information about our URL as well. That's how we'll be able to understand about our URL as well. Okay, so we got to know the next part as well. We covered protocol, we covered server or the domain name, we even covered the subdomain as well. Now we have our TLD, right? We have a top level domain. So before I go to top level domain, let's have some interesting things discussed here. Okay, let's have some, let's write it out. Okay, let's write and then we'll discuss. So the next one is TLD. So where TLD stands for top level domain here. Okay, so what is the interesting thing I want to discuss with you guys? So I told server or the domain name is a unique identifier, right? Which simply means we can't have two different companies with the same name called Amazon. We can't have two different companies with the same name called Google, and we were okay with that. So that's the reason we told it as unique identifier for the domain name. But now with this TLD, you can have the same company name with different extensions. I mean extension in the sense TLD only, okay, with different extensions. Let's say I want to go with Amazon only, okay, so I'll just say amazon.in. In a similar way, I'll go with some examples. We can have a company called amazon.com. We can have a company called amazon.edu, indicating its educational site. Okay, we can go with many other things. Let's say amazon.org. Okay, we can even go with amazon. Let's say UK, and similarly you can go with many other different types of extensions. Okay, so now I just told, hey, in the server or the domain name, we told server should always unique, right? We can't have a more than one company with the same name called Amazon. But now in this TLD, you can see we're having the same company called Amazon, but with different names here. See amazon.in, amazon.com, amazon.edu, amazon.org, amazon.uk. So now again, let's come out of the technical stuff. So let's go with some non-technical stuff for a few minutes, okay? So have you guys ever observed, okay, a similar kind of things in your real day-to-day life as well? Let's say we guys are traveling from one place to another place, okay, and we're using some public transportation right now, and we will just go for one of the nearest vendor or one of the nearest shop person, and we'll ask him for a water bottle. Okay, we'll ask him for a water bottle. The very first thing what we'll do, we will go and say him, I want to have a water bottle. So then he will offer some local water for you guys. Okay, so he'll just provide some local water bottle brand only. Then you guys will deny him, saying like, hey, I don't want this brand, and you will start putting your requirements saying I want so and so specific bottle only. Why are we putting that requirements? Because we know that brand is quite famous, or due to some other reason we want to go with that particular brand only. So one common brand what we follow in India is nothing else than we always go and ask them Bisleri, right? We always ask them Bisleri water bottle only. So why do we ask Bisleri? Because we know like it's one of the most famous brand. It's there in the market for a long time. It has undergone all the test cases which has been required to make sure that water is good for human beings. It has also made so much promotional videos on our television and different social medias as well. So we'll watch those advertisements and we make sure Bisleri is good for human beings. And we can also see it's been undergone different sort of testings which says okay, it has all the mineral nutrients and proteins which is being required for human consumption. So it has undergone all those basically test cases, so we are okay with that particular brand, right? So we will go and say, hey, I want to have Bisleri only. Even if we provide some, the shopkeeper provides some ABC water bottle, we'll say, hey, I don't want ABC, I want Bisleri only. So now, have you guys ever seen when you take the Bisleri or when you purchase the Bisleri water bottle, so will you get this Bisleri only or will you get some other Bisleri? What do I mean by some other Bisleri? So there might be some typo, right? You can get one Bisleri in this way, or you can get one Bisleri in this way, or you can get one Bisleri something, or you can get one Bisleri in this way, right? What's the difference here? So it's just about the alphabets, right? We have different alphabets over here. So what do you think? Is it just a typo over here? Are we thinking okay, there was some typical spelling mistake which was done when printing that particular brand in the water bottle? No, it's not about a typo or something here. Then what's that? These all are the fake water bottles which have been built on the same name, so that when you pronounce, you are thinking it's Bisleri only. And around 99% of the people are not aware which is the original Bisleri water bottle only. So they'll take this particular brand, they'll go and request for this Bisleri, and they'll end up with this Bisleri. But still, by reading this, okay, they can see Bisleri, and they will just go and consume the same water. So now, do you think this person or this company has undergone all the test cases which has been undergone by this person? Do you think this company has all the mineral nutrients and proteins which is being required by this distillery? Obviously no, these all are the fake brands which are being created on the top of this particular brand, right? Now why are these people going creating the same brand? They could have went with some other brand name, right? They are creating the same brand just to make sure that it's been publicly available for everyone. Why? Because Bisler is a global name right now. So now these people, the original owner who has the authenticated owner, the who has done all the level of test cases by investing his money, and even he has paid some lump sum amount of money for the actors as well to go and get his promotional videos done. These people, without even investing their money on testing or any other money on promotional videos, they are making some hell lot of money over there, correct? So is it only for Bisleri? No, you can go with any other famous brands as well. So if you go with your shoes, right, you can get different brands over here. Similarly, our dresses, similarly you can go with any other brands. We always have some famous brands. So for those famous brands, we always have some duplicate brands as well. So it's not because of a typo, it's because voluntarily designed so that they don't want to invest their money on promotional videos, so they don't want to invest their money on testing. Rather, they want their money as soon as possible with the fake brand names only. So that's how they're cheating the people here, right? So in the same way, it's been happening in the market for a long time. Again, why did I discuss about this thing? So let's come back to our original stuff. So now if you can see, there are companies with different extensions here, right? So what's happening now? So why are the people going and creating the same company even though if this company already existing over here? So they are just redirecting their clients rather than they going creating some other e-cart application. They want to create the same Amazon because Amazon is already well known, Flipkart is already well known, Meesho is already well known. So what they'll do, they'll not go and invest their money on promotional videos or testing or whatsoever. They'll create a similar company name with different typos and they will get that particular clients redirected over there. So that's how they were using this thing. And how did we overcome? So later to overcome, they just need to go and have a business talks and they need to get that particular TLD as well. Now, okay, again, no need to worry about that business perspective. But what does this IN stands for here? IN stands for India. Okay, what does this COM stands for here? COM stands for commercial. Let me write it out. IN here stands for India. Okay, COM here stands for commercial. EDU here stands for education. Okay, ORG here stands for organization. Okay, UK here stands for United Kingdoms. Okay, these are the different types of extensions, and again there are many more things. Okay, not only these things, there are many other different types of extensions as well. Okay, this is about your TLD. So if you can see, in this way we covered all the different parts of our URL as well, right? So where did we start? We started with the stack, what we are learning here. We got to know what's the pillar as well. We also got to know other similar stacks what we have. We also got to know what are the 4 different teams, major teams involved in the building of any application. We also got to know how we can track the life cycle of that particular application. We went with the URL when we got the different parts of URL, and we also understood each and every part in depth as well, right? Okay, so we got many more informations about the funda of our web application here, right? Now, the next thing what we guys will be doing over here. So in case if we guys are going and building a web application, so what's the first thing we'll be doing? Obviously, we just need to go and get our editors here, right? We need some place where we can just go and write our code. Am I right? Obviously, yes. So for that, we need our editors. Okay, I'll just categorize the editors in 2 different ways. So first thing, I'll just go with the offline editor, which you can use without your internet connections as well. Okay, the very first offline editors what you can go and use, a basic one can be your Notepad as well. Okay, you can go and use your Notepad as well. You can use a Notepad application, or you can go and use a Notepad++. Okay, or you can even use your, let's say Notepad++. We can even use your Sublime. Okay, so let's say Sublime, and you can even use your open brackets. And there are many more other applications as well, but the one most famous what we'll be using in much more industries, and what I'll be using as well, which I personally recommend even you guys as well, is nothing else than our Visual Studio Code. Okay, VS Code application. Okay, why VS Code only? Like, even though if we have all of these things, so you can go and write a web application even on a simple Node application or Notepad application as well. Okay, Notepad++ as well. But what's happening here? These applications or the editors won't have any sort of IntelliSense. So it won't provide any sort of suggestions or anything over there. So that's the reason I don't personally recommend not to go with the first 2. Rather, you can go with either Sublime, or you can even go with open brackets or VS Code. If you ask me, I would always suggest you to go with the VS Code only, Visual Studio Code only. Why? Because it has all the relationship and it has many more advanced functionalities, which is being really essential or required as a good developer. Okay, so it provides almost all IntelliSense. It's been induced with IntelliSense, so it will provide the suggestions, it will provide or highlight the errors and everything. So I recommend to go with VS Code only. Okay, so I recommend to go with VS Code only. So now people say, hey, I don't want to go with offline editor. What if I want to go with the online editor? So for the people who want to go with the online editors, you can go and search different editors are available, but the top two which I recommend is nothing else. And the first one would be CodeSpace. Okay, where it has every environmental setup ready over there. And second one will be you can go with your Code Sandbox as well. The Code Sandbox is being provided by your the Code Sandbox is being provided by your GitHub only. Okay, it's been provided by our GitHub only. So you can either go and use CodeSpace, or you can even use a Code Sandbox as well. So these are some of the editors what you can use. Again, Code Sandbox is exactly the same as your VS Code. Only thing it's present on the online side. Okay, it's present on the GitHub side, and it's been sent on the GitHub perspective only. Okay, so yes, if you can see, we have covered different parts of our full stack fundamentals web applications as well. And yeah, we'll be going with the upcoming recordings. We'll go and cover HTML, we'll cover CSS, we'll cover JavaScript, and then we'll go and cover our Angular, and then we'll cover our Node, we'll cover our Express, and finally we'll cover our MongoDB as well. Okay, so that's how this particular series is being discovered, and that's how it's been going to execute as well. Okay, and yes, even we'll be having some other different types of libraries discussed as well. So here and there, like we'll go with Bootstrap, Tailwind UI, Tailwind CSS, and other different types of things as well. Okay, so yes, that's it for this recording. So thank you all. Thank you for watching.